I'd like to say good morning to everybody who's here. And it really is a pleasure to see all the smiling, excited faces. And on behalf of the commissioner and everyone from DIDD, I'd like to say welcome you and good morning to everybody again. For most of you, I am Levi Harris. I am the Middle Tennessee Regional Director. And I would like again to thank everyone for coming out today and joining us as we celebrate the closing of the Clover Developmental Center. Thank you. I want to give a special appreciation for the individuals who have resided at Clover Bottom in the past, who are here also joining us today. So if you would give them a big hand. And also to give a big hand to all former and current Clover Bottom and DIDD employees who are here today. Now, I would like to give a special appreciation and thanks to Commissioner Debbie Payne, who have been a very great leader and shown great leadership throughout the years for DIDD and the entire DIDD service system. So give her a big hand. We're also honored today to have two guest speakers, State Representative Darren Jernigan and Ms. Pat Henry, who is the wife of Deputy Governor Jim Henry, and he was also former commissioner of DIDD. So give them a big hand. In the audience, I've seen we have Mr. Steve Norris, who was former deputy commissioner. Want to thank him for being here, and also his leadership for being in charge to initiate the closure process. Also in the audience, we would like to give a big hand to Ms. Lynn Burkett, who's the president of Parent Gardening Association. She's been a tireless advocate, as you all know, for those of you who know Lynn, for the people that has lived here and continue to be involved with all the folks that we have in the community. Also, we have Mr. Jack Derryberry from People First, as well as Bill and Sam Gage. Would everybody give them a hand also? Thank you. There are a host of other folks. I see the QRP is still here. And we want to thank them for coming. And give them a hand. And if I left anybody off, we appreciate all providers that have part of the DIDD and everybody else who have been involved in this process of moving from an institution to community integration. So give everybody a big hand. For those of you who may have known, may not have known, that I was the superintendent here at Clover Bottom, and I started in 2005, and I was superintendent until April 2010, where I was appointed to my current role. And many DIDD employees, as well as the Commissioner Payne, spent a large part of their careers at Clover Bottom. Many people started at Clover Bottom. A lot of people who have entered to provide services at some point in time will have an affiliation with Clover Bottom over the years. So this is a huge day for the state and all of us, and we're grateful again for all of you who have come out to celebrate it with us. Today, again, I'm honored to present State Representative Darren Jernigan. Representative Jernigan, he grew up all over District 60 and have been a resident in the district for more than 35 years. He was second in the graduating class of Hunters Lane School and continued his education at Austin Peay State University in Clarksville, where he received degrees in political science and public relations. He also received his master's degree in criminal justice at MTSU. In 2001, Representative Jarnigan was appointed Commissioner of Old Hickory Utility District, where he served for 6 years. In 2007, he was elected to the Metro Nashville City Council, representing Hermitage and Old Hickory. In 2012, he was elected to the Tennessee State House of Representatives, where he continued to serve the district, which includes Clover Bottom and several of the Middle Tennessee homes that some of our people have transitioned to and live. At this time, first speaker, it is an honor to present to you State Representative Darren Jarnigan.
Thank you so much, and good morning. It is a good morning. It's almost a blessed morning, I would say. It's a bittersweet day because we want to celebrate the past and we want to be and look forward to an exciting future. In 1990, I was 20 years old and I broke my neck in a car accident. And the reason I'm telling you this is because it was June of 1990. A month later, while I was in rehab, a nurse came into my room and she said, they just passed the Americans with Disabilities Act. She goes, this is going to be tremendous for you in your future. Now I'm 20 years old and I'm a kid. That doesn't really mean a lot to me. Well, it does now, but it didn't at the time. But in that law, there's a provision that said that people with disabilities will be in the most integrated setting possible. Again, I didn't really know what that meant, but I will come to know what that means in the future. Then some people in Georgia in the 90s thought to themselves, I don't want to go to the nursing home. I don't want to go to the institution. I want to live in my own home. And it went all the way to the United States Supreme Court. Then the Supreme Court in the Olmstead decision said, we agree with you. The money should follow you, not the nursing home. The money should follow you, not the institution. The money should follow you to the community where your new home is going to be. So that's what happened. And if you look at the history of what Congress and the government has been doing, in 1968 they passed the Architectural Barriers Act. In 1973 they passed the Rehab Act. Then they passed where they had the PDACs to come to make sure that institutions were livable and safe. They passed the Air Carriers Act, the Individual Disabilities Education Act, the ADA, the Assistive Technology Act. I could keep going on and on, but all these laws were meant to incorporate people with disabilities into society. No longer will you be called shut-ins. No longer will people. The technology has gotten to a point to where you live much longer lives. And now, especially with the ICFs, you're going to be able to live into a home in a community where you'll be able to host intimate events, where you'll hear kids running down the street, where the garbage man will wake you up because he's picking up your trash at the window. This is everyday life. Being in the community, being part of the community is what we're celebrating today. Clover Bottom's had a glorious past and was a home to a lot of people. But I'm telling you, as one door shuts, another one opens. And it's going to be a glorious, glorious time. I am your state representative for this area. You're going to be in the homes that I represent. I'm going to get you all registered to vote too before it's over. And my gosh, we'll take you out there and make sure that happens. But hey, on my watch, I'm going to be supporting every move that you all make in the community, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you, Representative Jernigan. Our next speaker today is Ms. Pat Henry. And as I said to you earlier, she's the wife of Mr. Jim Henry, the Deputy Governor and former Commissioner of DIDD. And I can say for a few seconds that I met Ms. Henry when Commissioner Henry became Commissioner. She was very instrumental in coming out, meeting with staff, want to be involved, and just having conversations about what we did and how we did things. It was really a pleasure to have the wife of the commissioner to come out and spend time and share stories, and some personal stories. We want to know a lot about the commissioner, but I think I'll let her tell you some of those kind of things. And now I would like to present to you Ms. Pat Henry.
Thank you so much. I wanted to tell you that Jim Henry would love to be here instead of in Washington. But since he couldn't be, he wanted me to come, and I'm happy to be here. Whenever I ran with Susan Moss, she would go with me to the different departments, and it was extremely inspiring to go to the departments and see the devotion and dedication that people who worked with the students, the clients, I could see it, I could feel it in the audience. And I just wanted to tell you that Susan always had to tell me that my time was up and I had to stop talking. But what I've found that anything that I have gone through in my life, someone in the audience may have gone through all the same, or at least part of it, so they understood what I was talking about. My son John, he passed away when he was 35. That's been 3 years ago. The hard part is that the holidays were, something that John was real excited about, and it's a hard time for us as his parents. And I would like to tell you a poem that my son John wrote. And he had a feeding tube and a colostomy, and life was hard. And a lot of you understand what I'm talking about. But one day, John could not talk, but he was typing, and he typed out, "Mom, I'm tired. I want to go home. I've met my destiny." And I said, what is your destiny, John? And he said, the Lord's my destiny. I want to go home. He wrote this poem, and normally I can say it without looking at it because I've said it so very many times over the years, but for some reason I'm having a problem doing that. But I also wanted you to know that it was such a great honor to be John Henry's mother. And he wrote, "My dream. I dream of a country where truly all people are created equal, where it doesn't matter how you look, feel, or communicate. I feel there is a hierarchy of importance. Wealthy people are the most valued. Individuals with a handicap are the least valued. The country needs to realize that we are people too." But as I said, it was a great, great honor to be John Henry's mother. And Jim Henry came in one day and he said, "Patty, I believe now I know why John was given to us." He said, the Department of Children's Services, and when he was with did, he said, things need to change. And I know that once I met the staff that was working with him, I realized that this could be done. I was just worried about him physically making it. But he had a wonderful, wonderful staff, and the people who work in these different departments are wonderful as well. And I just want to thank you for letting me come. And Jim would love to have been here himself, but thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Henry. And our final speaker for the day, would you all give a big hand to our current commissioner, Commissioner Debbie Payne.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Good morning. Thank you for being with us today. Representative Jernigan, Mrs. Henry, and Dr. Harris, thank you for your service and dedication to all persons with disabilities. This truly is a very special day, not only for the many people who lived and worked here, but also for the state of Tennessee. I didn't know how I would feel about this day, a day I first announced during a budget hearing 6 years ago. Though highly criticized for how long this closure has taken, when that announcement was made, we did not anticipate the building of community homes. But thanks to Lynn Burkett and other Parent Guardian Association members, she's frowning at me for mentioning her name, I can see her. We took the time to obtain the funding, purchase land, and build these homes within local communities. We did this because it was the right thing to do. We have so much to celebrate and so much we don't want to forget about the 92 years that these buildings made up Clover Bottom Developmental Center. Many of you know that Clover Bottom is one of the reasons I stand here today as commissioner. And that was not my plan, by the way, but here I am. In 1968, at the age of 14, I came to Clover Bottom on a volunteer trip with some other girls from my junior high school. I'll never forget walking through the doors of Monroe Hall. I'm sure some of you remember Monroe Hall. And seeing the faces of so many children who called this place home. When I asked staff what I should do, they told me, pick a child and take them for a walk. I chose the child, who clung the tightest. That night I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, told myself I'd never go back, but I did. Obviously I'm here, so. But I came back because of the people I met there. After college, I started my professional career in Jefferson Hall. My job was to support 19 ladies in the behavioral unit of the behavioral buildings. That told you we had a few challenges. It wasn't a job for the faint of heart, but I loved it. Things were very different then, but those relationships established my respect for people with disabilities. We have come a long way in Tennessee. For so long, families were advised to institutionalize their loved ones because they know what to do. At its height in the 60s, more than 1,500 people called Clover Bottom home. Some of them, including my friends Bill and Sam Gage, are here in this room. And for so long, there were no other models of support for people with disabilities. We now know that people with disabilities can be supported to be a part of their communities. We know that many people with disabilities can work in a community setting and earn a competitive wage. We also know that many people can live more independently. But it's important to remember, early on, Clover Bottom was opened during the Great Depression. It makes one wonder how many people ended up here because mothers could not feed or care for their children. A good example is a young boy who lived here at Clover Bottom and was adopted at the age of 5 by an employee. He went on to earn his college degree. Were there more like him? I suppose there may have been, and I suspect there may have been. But we know that so much is possible beyond the walls of an institution. As we transition the last 6 people off this campus, let's make sure we don't forget how many lives were shaped here since 1923. I want to thank the employees, some of whom dedicated their entire careers to supporting people who lived here. They're the reason that many people who once called Clover Bottom home are here today. I know much has been said about Clover Bottom through the years, both good and bad, but I wanted to add this. I had a friend, Virginia, who lived here for 67 years. This is Virginia. She lived until she was 96 in the community. That wouldn't happen without the care and dedicated support provided to her on this campus. In the coming days, we will pack up the last belongings and turn off the lights in Clinch Cottage. It will be such a simple act, but an act with such historical significance. In Tennessee, we are now down to one remaining large institution which is scheduled to close next year. This is possible because we should expect more for people with disabilities. We are not perfect. We never will be. We have made mistakes, but we have grown. I am proud to stand here today with people who lived here, employees, families, and friends who will continue what has been started and will continue to put people first. There are still thousands of people in Tennessee that are looking to us as we continue to strive to meet the department's mission. So while we turn off the lights here at Clover Bottom, I ask you to join me in helping make the future bright for all Tennesseans with disabilities. Thank you.